guys, hey, it's Darrell again with Project Sketch here on Map TV. We're going to be talking about 3D shapes and soup. Now before we talk about soup, let's talk about Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was a popular artist during the 1960s and on into the 90s. He actually revolutionized a movement called pop art. He set, some people would say, as basically like the king of all pop artists. His influence was marketing. What is marketing? I ask you that. What is marketing? Go ahead. Alright. Hey, that's pretty good. Hey, some of you guys said advertising. Okay, yeah. But the whole goal is taking a product, making it appeal good, and trying to sell that product. Or sell that product. That's kind of what Andy Warhol was fascinated with. Marketing and mass production. So today, we're going to talk about Andy Warhol's soup can. Campbell's soup is an item that was in every American household for years, generations. What they would do though is they'd open up that can of soup and they would toss it aside in the trash. Hey, I mean, I guess it's just a can, but it's more than a can. Andy Warhol, his whole goal was to show that this can is art, and that's what he was intrigued by. And we're going to be doing art today and pay tribute to Andy Warhol's soup can. Get ready. Get ready. That means grab a paper, pencil, and ruler, because we're going to be doing soup cans. Now, alright guys, for this assignment you should have your pencil, your ruler, and your piece of paper. You're also going to need something to color with and a black marker later on. Markers are best for this, but you don't need markers. You could have other things to color with. Now remember, when we draw, I told you that all the world, it's nothing but shapes. Everything's a shape. And when you look at Andy Warhol's soup can, it's a shape. Our whole goal today is to draw Andy Warhol's soup can in 7 easy steps. Here we go. Number 1, let's look at the soup can. Maybe you have one at home, you can run to the cupboard, hold it. Let's identify the shape. Number 1, identify the shape. Well, let's look at this. Looks like, go ahead and say it. That's right, a cylinder at home. So, we're going to go ahead. We identified our shape. Number 2, let's draw our shape. Alright, as we get started, we got to do Andy Warhol cool with our map sunglasses on. That's what I got to do. Get a little persona going here. Get ready to do some artwork. We're about to do Andy Warhol cool, doing our soup can. Here we go. So I got my paper right here. That's what you should have at home. Your paper. Doesn't have to be as big as my whiteboard, just a normal sheet of paper. Remember, I'm going to be drawing 3D shapes. When we do this, rule number 1, you're using your pencil, sketch lightly. Rule number 2, use your ruler because we're going to draw straight lines. I know it. Hey, use it. You better use it. And number 3, if you watch the other videos, just follow along. Here we go. Got my big paper right here. We're going to be looking at the top left-hand side. Here we go. I'm going to mark a nice dot. I'm going to make mine really big. You don't want to make yours that big at home. I'm just doing it so you can see. Okay, I'm going to mark a dot left-hand side at the top. Okay, if I did it to the top, let's do it to the bottom. So I'm going to go straight down. You can lay your ruler down so you can see that you're even. Straight down. I'll mark another dot right there. So now, got my 2 dots on the left-hand side. If we did it to the left, let's do it to the... You're exactly right. I know you've been watching the videos. Here we go. We're going to go to the right. All right. So, gonna mark another dot straight over. You can lay your ruler over to make sure you're nice and even. Next, we did it to the top. Let's do it to the bottom. Here we go. All right, perfect. I've got my 4 dots right there. What we're gonna do now is use our ruler. All we're gonna do is connect the dots. Let's go from left to right. Let's start with the left, top to bottom. Connect that dot. Mine's a little crooked. Hopefully use your ruler at home. I can correct it afterwards. Top to bottom. Go ahead. Connect those dots. Perfect. Cool. All right. What do we have here? We have parallel lines. 2 lines that run that same direction. Okay. Now, from dot to dot, what we're going to do is work at that top. Dot to dot. I want you to do simple little rainbow right there. Rainbow. Okay. Next, followed by a smile. Here we go, dot to dot at the top. Perfect, cool. Now from dot to dot, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and do a smile because we're doing art. Okay, perfect, cool. So now we drew our cylinder. Hey, at this time, I can kind of mess with it. If I made any mistakes, I kind of want to work on this line. You can do that right now, guys. But we've got our cylinder. It's on to step number 3. All right, guys. So I straightened out my cylinder, kind of did a little better. Maybe you did that at home. Now, we're going to go on to number 3, our details. We have our simple shape. Remember, we're drawing that soup can. We're just going to add some simple little details right here. Let's go ahead. Let's look at the top right here. I want you on the smiley face line. All we're going to do is we're going to go over a little bit. I want you to mark a dot. We're going to go over a bit more. Mark another dot. Okay? We did it to the left. Let's do it to the right. I want you to go over just a tiny bit. Mark a dot. I'll mark mine a little bigger so you can see them at home. There we go. So we're on the right-hand side. We're going to go over just a bit more. All right, perfect. So I've got 4 dots at the top. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. Connect the dots. So from outside dot on the left to outside dot on the right, we're going to go ahead and do a little rainbow right there, following the same arc that we see here. Like that. Boom. Now, dot to dot. Boom. Another rainbow. Boom. All right, so we got some details right there. Next, what I want to do is we're still going to work on the top. Right here, at this dot on the left-hand side at the top, we're just going to do a little C. See it right there. Next, right here, backward C on the right-hand side. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use the same arc, or how the smiley face is right here. We're going to go this line to this line. So I can mark a little dot here. What we're going to do is basically connect those. All right, here we go. Smiley face. Perfect. And I see I'm a little off here, but that's why we sketch lightly. I could come back and adjust that a little later on. Okay, now I could erase these little lines here. Boop, like that. Perfect. Let's focus now. We go from top to bottom. Here we go. On the left-hand side, little C like that. Okay, let's do it to the right, but backwards C. Oops. Same thing here. I'm going to mark a little dot at the end of these. And then from dot to dot, what we're going to do is following that same smiley face, we're going to go ahead and connect them. Okay? Mine's a little off, but remember, I could come back and do that. I could come back, I could erase it a little later if I sketch lightly. And I can kind of readjust there and make it a little better. So don't worry about it right now. Next, we're going to we want to split the can in half as we're looking at the details. So I want you to pick, you can measure, but I want you to pick, I'm going to eyeball it about halfway, and that's about right here. Next, I'm going to lay my ruler over. Remember, don't draw that line. Follow along. Just lay your ruler over, straight across. I want you to mark another dot. I don't have a ruler big enough to make it across the board, but you should be using yours at home. And now, most people make this mistake. They draw that line straight across. No, what you're going to do is, the object is round. Your line, just like these lines here, it's going to be a little smiley face. All right, from dot to dot, here's what you're going to do. Bend it. We got a little bit of a smile right there. Perfect. We split our can in half. Now, here's what you're going to do. I want you at home, do step 4. We just added our details. You see the can, the lid right here, dividing in half. Okay, perfect. I want you now to go ahead and define your shape. That means look at any areas that you may want to redo or touch up. Go ahead, do that at home. Take your time, touch it up. We'll be back for step 5. So you should have defined your soup can. If I was doing mine on some paper, I'd erase, do some more little things. Like you see my dots right here. If you see your dots, you kind of want to erase that. Now we're going to go on to our next step. Step 5, it says text box. You may say, what's a text box? Well, let me show you. So text box are these. Well, this is writing right here, okay? But a text box is what we're going to do to help us write. So that's what we're going to do. Follow me right now because we got to do the titles of the soup, Campbell's tomato soup. Okay, here we go. So let's look at the top right here. Now, here's what we're going to do is draw a text box. So with inside that top part of the soup can, that's where we're going to draw our text box. So we're going to go over a little bit to the right from our line. Once you draw a little dot there. Okay, same thing. We're going to basically draw kind of how this section is, but with inside it. So now, you're going to go a little bit below that. Gonna draw a dot there. So we've got 2 dots on our left-hand side. Now, you can put your ruler straight over. If we did it to the left, let's do it to the right. Put your ruler straight over. And what you're going to do is you're going to mark a dot there on the right-hand side. If we did it to the top, let's do it to the bottom. Another one there. And what you're going to do now is, remember, most people will draw that line straight across. You don't want to. It's gonna arc. It's gonna have a little smiley face. Here we go, from dot to dot. Smile. Whoops, a little off. That's why I have an eraser. Okay, from dot to dot. Smile. Perfect. I can draw my line straight down. We have right now what's called a text box. What you can do is that's gonna help you curve the text to make it look round as you sketch out that Campbell's soup. Okay, it is harder for some people. It is in cursive, but just look at his art. You're gonna sketch. Okay, so it takes some time. Now let's focus on the bottom. So we have tomato and we've got soup. So there's 2 things right there. So we're gonna do 2 text boxes. 2 text boxes. Here we go. Let's focus down here. We're gonna go down a little bit. Make a dot there. Okay, if we did a dot there, let's do a dot for the bottom. Okay, if we did it to the left, let's do it to the right. You're right. Okay, perfect. Lay your ruler straight over. Hit that dot there. Dot right there. Now remember, we're going to curve those lines, okay? Whoops. Right there. Curve the lines. Perfect. And now, straight down. Straight down. And you may say, Darrell, hey, I thought there's going to be 2 text boxes. There are. We're just going to divide this in half. Simple, from dot to dot. Divide it. Perfect. Now we have where it will say Campbell's tomato soup. There's one other important detail. Right here in the middle, I have a tutorial on how to sketch a sphere, and it makes a perfect circle. So you can do that, or you can run. And if you do have a soup can handy, remember, you just use it as a template, and you can trace. I'm going to go ahead and mark my circle right now, and I'm going to tell you how to put the text in the text boxes. Okay, so we're talking about text boxes. You now put them on your soup can. You see mine's all erased. Don't erase your paper. This is just to show you how to do some of the text boxes. Now I have my little text box here. I curved it, because remember, our text is going to look curved because it's a round object. Now, let's take the word just soup, for example. The word soup. It's 4 letters, right? So S-O-U-P. Look at me, I can spell. So that's 4 letters. Now if I were to do a text box, all you're going to do is count the numbers, and then basically what you're going to do is add 3 lines evenly in there, but it's going to split up where you should have 4 spaces for 4 letters. I want to show you with tomato. T-O-M-A-T-O. Right, I spelled that right? Yeah, okay. Tomato. I'm going to write the word tomato right here. Okay, so let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if I have 6 letters, what must I have? -1, yes. 5 lines right here. So the goal is to make them nice and even. So use your ruler at home. Maybe you can measure it out. I'm not going to right here, but maybe at home. But the goal is to have even boxes. So I'm going to add 5 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I should extend it a little bit, I guess. And 5 right there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes for 6 letters. I did 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 boxes I put in there. Tomato. T-O-M-A-T-O. What you're gonna do? Not very hard. Remember, let the box do the work. Say it with me. Let the box do the work. Let the box do the work. Do the work. Do the work. All right, here we go. So we're really going to let the box do the work. When we sketch our letters, I'm going to draw a bigger letter here so you can see. But if I took the letter T, for example, what I'm going to do is we already see a T has a straight line up on the sides and the top. But we do see that it comes in on the sides. All I'm going to do is simply go in and down. If I did it to the left, I'm going to do it to the right. I'm going to simply go in and down. And if I were to erase my box, when we're all said and done, I have what? A T. That's what you're going to do with the same letters. Now the O, you're going to kind of just curve in there. Okay? But let me take another letter. Let's take the M, for example. If I have my box right here, all I'm going to do, we see the top of an M, a box letter M, is usually straight. Then we're just going to V in, because we've got that little slot in. Now, same thing here. I'm going to go here, 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 here. Erase, erase. I've got an M. You're going to do that for every letter. Hey, take your time. Don't get frustrated. I know you're going to do a good job, guys. See ya for the next step. Alright, guys, so I have my Andy Warhol's, Campbell's. Well, I don't even need to show you the can, because we got our Andy Warhol Campbell soup can here. Here's what you're going to do. I've now put my text boxes, wrote everything up here. Campbell's tomato soup. I really want you to take your time with this, though. This is me drawing on a whiteboard. It's not easy. Your whole goal is to take your time at home. And I want you, after you do everything and look over it again, I want you to go ahead. You're going to add the colors to it. Okay, so maybe you do a nice little shading at the top because you see the can is silver but it looks gray. So maybe you do some pencil shading. Maybe you have some colored pencils that can do it. Hey, remember, we've got red and white here. The text here is black and white. The whole goal is now color it. And at the end, what you want to do is what's going to make it pop is that tracing. You're going to take a black marker if you have it at home, and I want you to nicely trace the areas, okay? And it's going to make everything just really pop, that nice black marker. Actually, let me show you a student's version. So here's a version that a student did of the Andy Warhol soup can. We can see this gentleman did a great job right here. He actually added kind of some funky colors, the red, the green, complementary colors if you've been tuning in. But that was to pay tribute to earlier in the video when you saw the Andy Warhol funky soup cans. That was a tribute to that. But if we look at the top, he shaded it in with some pencil. That black outline really makes it pop. We see the title right there. He really took his time drawing that crest right there for Campbell Soup. And nice text because he just did a great job just taking his time. Alright, guys. Remember, the goal of this assignment was to do 3D shapes. Identify, draw, add those details, define the shape, and go from there. Add those text boxes, colors, and trace. The whole goal is if you draw 3D shapes, you can draw anything. Andy Warhol's goal was to take an ordinary object like a Campbell soup can and make it extraordinary. Hey, to be an extraordinary artist, stay tuned to Project Sketch here on MAP TV. Till next time.